Wouldn't it be cool if you could watch this video inside of your own .NET MAUI app? Wouldn't it be cool if you could watch this video inside of your own .NET MAUI app? With .NET MAUI Community Toolkit, now you totally can. We're working on MediaElement. It's time for an early preview. For the past few weeks, I've been working on bringing the MediaElement to .NET MAUI. The MediaElement has been a control for Xamarin Forms already living inside of the Xamarin Community Toolkit. I think it was donated by a community member, Peter Foot, so from this place, thank you again for doing that. And it supported basically all the platforms that were supported by Xamarin Forms, so that was really great. And it allowed you to play video, to play audio, to do all these kinds of things. But if we're being honest, it wasn't always that stable on all platforms. Also, it was kind of like lacking a couple of features, like, playing live streams, most notably. That was something that you requested a lot. So what I'm doing for .NET MAUI is bringing it to the .NET MAUI Community Toolkit, but at the same time also building it, rewriting it from the ground up. So that means it now uses mappers and handlers and all that kind of .NET MAUI goodness. But also I'm using the implementation on Android with EXO Player. So that's kind of like on the Android layer, the player that does a lot, including live streams and all those kinds of things. For iOS, we're just using the AV player, and for Windows, I think it's also called MediaElement or Media Player or something like that. So right now we're focusing on Android, iOS, and Windows, and we will have a very complete media player in the form of MediaElement that you can use with .NET MAUI. Now, I'm still tweaking it. I'm still working on it. We're planning on releasing this as part of .NET 7. So at the time of recording, that's going to be in less than a month. So don't worry about that. And I'll talk a little bit about why that is at the end of the video, so make sure to stick around. That's also where I'll tell you how you can get started yourself today by checking out this preview. But for now, let's dive into Visual Studio and let's see what it can do right now. So here in Visual Studio 2022, I have cloned and opened the .NET MAUI Community Toolkit repository. If you've never seen it before, don't be overwhelmed. I'm going to take you through this step by step. But it has all the source for the .NET MAUI Community Toolkit. So if you're interested in that, go ahead, have a look at it. But we also have a sample app where we try to have samples for basically all the functionality that we have inside of the .NET MAUI Community Toolkit. And it is a great way to have the sample app if you're trying to build a control like this, because you can implement a feature and you can straight away try that in the sample app and see how it behaves, right? So that's what I'm trying to do. So I'm not going to bore you with all the details here on the solution, but if I collapse a couple of things here, we have like a couple of folders, analyzers, samples, tests, of course. And here is the source for the community toolkit here down to the bottom. You can immediately see that the MediaElement is a separate project. So we're going to create this as a separate NuGet. Why? Mainly because for Android, we're taking on a dependency on the EXO player. So those will be the bindings to the Android platform APIs. And because of that, not everyone that uses the community toolkit is probably going to want to use the MediaElement. So we don't want to put that extra dependency on people by just, putting that in the community toolkit. So I'm making this a separate package so that people can mix and match whatever they want to install on their project, right? So we're going to look at the sample here. If you want to have a deep dive on the MediaElement, how it's tied together and how it was all architected and constructed, let me know down in the comments and I'll make a follow-up video going over how I did it. But here is the sample, and in the sample we have all kinds of things as well. We're using MVVM, so there's a whole bunch of architecture going on here, but the important stuff is in pages, and then we have views, because we're going to look at a view. The MediaElement is a view, and then we have the MediaElement page, right? And that's the thing that I've opened here. So what you can see is if we scroll down, this is basically the main event. We have this MediaElement here, right? And you immediately see a couple of properties. We have autoplay, so you can say like, hey, if we're going to load this MediaElement and the source can be loaded, so our video can be loaded, just play whenever you're ready, right? So that's autoplay for you. You can set that, it will work. So you can set the source, and the source can be a couple of things. The source right now, right here, you can see it's a URL pointing to an MP4 file, which is, the big bug bunny, which is kind of like a running gag, I think. I don't know. You can see that everywhere where kind of like sample videos are needed. So that's right here. And you can just plop plop that URL in here and it will start playing that. We also now have support for HLS or HTTP live streaming, or also known as M8U3, I think. A lot of people were requesting that. So you can put that URL in here as well and it will start playing that automatically. So that's really cool. We have a couple of events. Media ended, so whenever the media playing stopped, it will notify you with this event. Whenever the media has failed, whenever the media is opened, whenever the seek is complete, so you can have a little bar of your own, or use the built-in ones, and you can seek the position of inside of your media, and it will notify you whenever that is complete. Now, other than that, we have a couple of controls that I've implemented here. So you can use data binding, right? So I have this label with a multi-binding, and you can see this position. So it's going to give me the position of the media element of the media that's playing. So the position, like how many minutes and seconds is it actually playing? It's going to print that out here. The duration, so how long is this video, this media, actually going to take, the total duration, and the current state, right? Is it playing? Is it paused? Is it stopped? Stopped is kind of a complicated one because stopped is not really a concept in some platforms. So you can see all that information. Now, what else? You can, of course, request a play, a pause, a stop. So we have buttons for that to trigger that kind of things. And we have a slider to set the position right here. Actually, let's just load up the sample in the Android emulator. I got that right here. So this is the .NET MAUI Community Toolkit sample app. And here in the flyout menu, you can go to Views, and then we can scroll down. So if this is a little bit slow, that's totally because this machine isn't the best anymore. I use this for my public demos and whatnot, but it's not the fastest anymore. So I think also the media, the video will, look like it's very slow, but that's totally my emulator and the machine right here. Don't worry about that happening inside of your code. But here, if you scroll down, you can see the media element, right? So if we click that, we can immediately see that the Big Bug Bunny is being loaded and it starts playing, right? Because we set the autoplay to true. You can see that position that I just mentioned right here. So the position starts counting, the duration is almost 10 minutes, and the current state is playing. And here we have the buttons play, so it's playing right now. I can say pause, then it stops, right? So it doesn't do anything. And I can set play again. Now, it's not really clear, I think, but here is a little slider. Because of the styling of this page, it's not really clear maybe, but I can just take this one and I can slide it to here, and now boom, the position is 4 minutes something, right? So I can influence the position right here. And you can also see if I use the built-in controls here from this player, I can drag it here and you can see that this slider is being updated here as well. So it works both ways, right? You can do it from the player that's built in, or you can do it from your own kind of like progress bar thingy here. If you don't want the playback controls, you can totally do that as well. Here down at the bottom, I have these switches, show playback controls, just disable that. And now I can click all I want on the video, but the playback controls are not being shown. So you can enable that, disable that, everything that you want. You can also play with the speed, so how fast this video is being playing. So I can just do the plus button here a couple of times. I think I limited it to 10 times here for this little sample app. It doesn't seem to work. So that's kind of like my cue for a good note here. This is still very much in development. So I would encourage you to try this out. I'm going to tell you how near the end of the video. Please try it out. Please tell me any feedback that you have right now so we can fix that before we're actually, going to release this. But there are some bugs still in here, and the speed not working on Android is apparently one of them. So there's that, but you should be able to set the speed whenever it's done. It does work the other way around, it seems. So if I set it to 0, it's going to be paused, so there's that. And if I then do it plus again, then it's going to play again on the speed of 1. So that does seem to work. Now then we have loop video here down at the end again. So if I toggle that, whenever we get to the end here, I'm going to scroll all the way down to the end, see if I can get closest to the actual end here. And then when I release it, it's going to play the end of the video. And whenever it reaches the end, it's going to reset the video and basically play from the start again. So that's something that was in the old media element for Xamarin. So something that we said like, hey, okay, then we should have that for, this element again. Maybe people are using it. Maybe people find it useful. I think the use cases for it are limited, but you can totally do it. So here it is. Now here we have a couple of buttons. Load MP4, so that's basically this URL. Load HLS, so that's the HTTP live streaming, which is a protocol for live streaming over HTTPS. And whenever I click that, I also got this Big Bug Bunny, same video, slightly different because you can see the duration is longer, but this is being streamed through HLS. So this is, that protocol works on Android. That is something that a lot of people requested here. So there's that as well. So we've got all that. Now, what do we have more? You can also influence the volume. I didn't implement it here, so let's go back to a little bit of code here. And in the example, you can see a couple of more APIs here. So we can set the volume as well. That's totally something that you can do. And there is a couple of other APIs that I've been implementing here as well. So that's basically your quick overview of how to work with the MediaElement. Actually, let me just before I let you go, let's just switch to Windows. So I'm going to switch to my Windows machine so that you can see that, you know, it really has that platform look and feel of how you would expect that media player to work on each platform. So here we are. The Windows app is coming right up. And we should see actually the full .NET Community Toolkit sample app now running on Windows. But of course, we're just interested in the MediaElement, right? So here we are. And if I go to the little menu now, go to Views, we can scroll down, and I'm going to go to MediaElement. And you can see that this exact same thing works as well, right? It looks a little bit different because now it's styled to how the Windows media player and the Windows control should look like. And I personally don't really like the big built-in controls that they have for Windows here, but you know, here we are. I can just hide them with show playback controls, right? So they're gone, boom. And also all the same things, of course, that you expect work here, right? So maybe the speed works here. We can influence that. You can see that it goes a little bit faster. See, like it's fast forwarding. So that kind of works here. We can loop the video again. We can do all these other things. Also HLS, also implemented on Windows. We're making sure that all the features are implemented across all the platforms as much as we could. And as we could see in the intro, it also works on iOS. So I hope this is going to be very useful to you. This is in a nutshell what you can expect from the upcoming MediaElement. Now, I already touched briefly on a couple of important things. So the first thing is we're going to release this as part of .NET 7. At the time of recording, it's less than a month away, so that gives us some time to tweak the last bits, fix the last bugs, implement the last things that we want to implement, but it's going to be basically .NET 7 only. Also, the reason for that is because it targets Android 33, API 33 and up. It targets, so it's not the lowest version that is supported. I think, you know, the lowest version, I should actually look into it, but it's way less than 33. But 33 is the target version, and that is the default target for .NET 7. So you don't need to do anything weird for that. If you install it, you just need to target .NET 7, and the rest is taken care of. So that's part of the reason that we're doing that, and also it's close to .NET 7 anyway, so we might as well do that. Then maybe some FAQ. I've got two questions that I get a lot. Can I play YouTube videos with this? That's always an interesting question. Yes, you totally can, if you can figure out what the URL is to play the YouTube video directly, right? Because if you go to youtube.com/view/ and then that weird hash ID, that's bringing you to a page, right? That's not bringing you to a video. So it's not really possible to plop in that URL and then expect that video to work. If you can figure out what the URL is for that video on YouTube, then yes, you can definitely play that, but you'll probably need YouTube API calls for that. But who knows, we might be looking into how we can make that easier for you. The other thing is, will full screen be supported? That's a big feature request. And I've been looking into it. Especially Android is really hard to do, probably because the way Android, goes about their views and their activities and whatnot. So we're going to try and see if we can make it work. But I'm not sure. I'm going to be honest. I'm not sure. We're going to do our very best. If you're watching this and you have any idea how to do it, please reach out. I'd love to know. But we're going to investigate, and it's something a lot of people want. So we're going to definitely try. But I can't make any promises right now. Then the last last thing is you want to try it yourself, right? I asked you for that feedback. You want to try it out, see if it works, see what the bugs are. You totally can. I wrote a little blog post about it. You can find the link down below in the responses, in the video description, wherever you want. And you can click there and see how you can use the feed that's attached to the pull request that I've got open right now. That will produce NuGet packages, how to install that on your own project, and how to, the things that you need to worry about. The version right now works with .NET 6, so you can still use it without the preview bits of .NET MAUI. You can still use it with .NET 6 right now until I flip that switch and make it .NET 7 only. So be quick and check it out with that, and let me know how that goes. And what other features should be included, let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching again one of my videos. I hope this early preview was useful to you and you're excited for the MediaElement. Please click that like button because I think all the people should know about the MediaElement, and clicking that like button will help spread it through YouTube more quickly and more easily. So thank you so much for that. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. And before I let you go, check out this playlist for more .NET MAUI videos, this playlist for more .NET MAUI Community Toolkit videos, and this button to see if you're subscribed. See you for the next one.